Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Victoria and today we are going to be talking about some books that I've read recently on Kindle Unlimited that I have loved. So, Kindle Unlimited, if you do not know, is a subscription service through Amazon that I think costs like 14 bucks a month, but there are always deals. I don't think I've ever paid the actual amount that it costs, but there are always deals going on that you can get it for like 2 months free or 3 months free or stuff like that. Anyway, it's a subscription service that you pay monthly for, and it allows you to check out at most 20 books that are 20 ebooks that are in the Kindle Unlimited library, and read as many of them as you want in a month. So I use it all the time. I use it for reading ebooks through Kindle Unlimited, but I also use it for audiobooks, where if you own the Kindle ebook, then the audiobook is less expensive. So if you check out the book with Kindle Unlimited, it says that you own it, and then you can get the audiobook at a discounted price. So I use that a lot. But I also do just read books through Kindle Unlimited. So I have a few that I have read recently that I have really loved. I'm going to recommend some to you. So the first one that I am going to mention is Faking Mr. Right by Claire Kingsley. This is a CEO assistant romance that I loved. It is the first book in Claire Kingsley's Dirty Martini Running Club, I believe. Yeah, I was right. And this one is, like I said, a CEO assistant romance. Everly is the assistant to high-powered CEO named Shepard Calloway, and Shepard has recently broken up with his girlfriend. That he didn't really like her, but he recently broke up with her. And then a little while later, like not even a month later, he is at this gala that he is attending where his father is getting an award, and his father introduces him to his new girlfriend, and his father's new girlfriend is Shepard's ex-girlfriend. And Shepard doesn't want to tell him and have him make a scene at this award gala, and so he's like, okay, I'll tell him later. And instead he tells him, oh, I have a girlfriend too, you'll be able to meet her tonight also, because he wants to like get this girl off his back. And so he goes through his contacts and he's like, shit, who can I call? And he ends up calling Everly, his assistant, and saying, hey, come to this gala, wear a pretty dress right now. So she shows up and he's like, this is my girlfriend Everly. And Everly's like, what the fuck? And he has Everly pretend to be his girlfriend for the night. But then later on, when he goes to tell his father that the girl that his father thinks that he's in love with is actually Shepard's ex-girlfriend, Shepard's father tells him that he is actually having health issues and financial issues, and ends up having to move in with Shepard for a while. And Shepard doesn't want to make him more upset than he already is, and so he doesn't tell him about the girlfriend. But he also doesn't want to tell him that Everly was actually his fake girlfriend, and so he instead has Everly move in with him and continue pretending to be his fake girlfriend, until the two of them end up falling in love. Shepard has a lot of like outward persona and doesn't want to let anyone actually see like the real Shepard Calloway, and through this fake dating and through them spending so much time together, they actually really get to know each other, because even though they worked together for so many years at this point, they didn't actually really know each other. Shepard always just was like, he never actually really like spoke to her other than about work, because she was his assistant, and he just like wasn't that kind of guy. He had this very like CEO forward, always on work persona. But Everly gets to know the actual real Shepard Calloway, like the man behind the curtain type thing, and they end up falling in love, and it's so good. I really loved it. It's one of my favorite fake dating romances now. The next one that I'm going to mention is an entirely different vibe, and that is Headcase by Onley James. This is part of the Necessary Evil series. I believe it's book 4, and it follows Asa Mulvaney, who is one of the psychopathic twins in the Mulvaney family. And he and his brother Avi have been separated for the first time. Their father is kind of like punishing them and is making them be separated for like the first time in their life. And as further punishment, Asa's father sends him to a gala to accept an award on Thomas's behalf. And at this gala, Asa ends up meeting Zane Scott, who he is instantly attracted to, and they end up having a one-night stand. However, Zane was actually there on purpose to meet a Mulvaney because Zane is a crime blogger, and he believes that he has uncovered this crazy secret about the Mulvaney family being killers. Which is true, but is not supposed to be known outside of the Mulvaney family. So when Asa gets a call from his brother-in-law to help him dispose of a body, Zane overhears this call follows Asa and ends up seeing him chop up a body and is like, okay, great, now I can expose you and the whole family for being murderers. And so Asa kidnaps Zane. It's so good. I loved it. It is probably my favorite in the series now. Psycho used to be my favorite in the series, but I think that this one actually like overtook that. I absolutely loved it. I love the captive style. I love Asa's humor and his absolute inability to understand the situation, and like Zane is like, you can't do this to me, and Asa's like, why not? I don't get it. Then Asa and Zane end up working together to uncover this really horrible criminal activity that's going on, and it's like, okay, Zane, you can cover this story instead, as like a way to keep him off of talking to the Mulvaneys. It's great. I loved it. It was so good. Next one that I'm going to recommend that I read recently is The Plan by Carla Sorensen. I love Carla Sorensen. I have read and enjoyed so many of her books, but this one is a bodyguard romance, which is like one of my favorite tropes. So the heroine, whose name is, I gotta look it up. Heroine's name is Lydia, and she is a kind of like social media influencer type person where she has a lot of followers and actually has a lot of like paparazzi that follow her around, and the paparazzi have gotten really intense recently, so bad that she ended up getting into a car accident, and now she has like PTSD over that accident, and she does not want to leave her house and end up being in a situation where she is like around a lot of people. And so her family, her parents, being worried about her, decide to hire a bodyguard to help her feel more comfortable when she leaves the house. And the bodyguard that they hire for her is a ex-football player who retired very early from football because of an injury. And he is older than Lydia. Quite a bit older than Lydia, but Lydia is incredibly attracted to him. I think his name is Eric, but Lydia doesn't want anyone to know that she actually has a bodyguard, so she decides to pretend that he is her boyfriend instead. But when Eric's family finds out that he has a girlfriend, they are like, oh my god, you have to bring her home for this family reunion event that we're having. And rather than crush his family's hopes about him having a girlfriend, he asks Lydia if she will pretend to be his girlfriend and bring her home to his family. And they end up falling in love and working through their issues. Eric has a lot of baggage from things that happened while he was playing football, and so he has a lot of walls up and really is not prepared for the emotions that he feels for Lydia. He also feels still that he's too old for her, and they really have to work through the age gap issue. But Lydia is persistent and fun and so amazing, and I really, really loved their romance. The next one that I read recently is Handsome Devil by Sarah Kate. This is a road trip best friend's dad romance. So the heroine name is Layla, and her best friend Kristen is getting married in Vegas and really wants Layla to be there for it. But there are no flights for her to get to Vegas on time, and so she decides to so Kristen tells her, hey, my dad Henry, who lives in the same city as you, is going to drive to Vegas to get here, so he can pick you up and drive you you can drive together. And so Henry, who is the hero and also Kristen's father, he and Kristen didn't have the best relationship growing up. They were kind of estranged. But he picks up Layla, and they end up driving the like 3,000 miles it takes to get to Vegas, and they are stuck in this car for a very long time, just the two of them. They end up having to stop along the way. There are only one bed situations. Layla is actually a virgin heroine, and so she asks Henry to help her out with that because she was like saving herself for her shitty boyfriend who ends up being shitty. And so she is like, I want you to take my virginity and teach me more about sex. And it was fun. It was really fun, and it was funny, and there were some great banter moments, some really just ridiculous road trip issues that come across, like the things that always happen in road trips, you know, like have to stay in the hotel, only one bed, car breaks down, stuff like that. And they end up spending like one night sleeping in the car together, and because there's no hotel or anywhere around to stay. So it was really cute. It was really good. I really liked it, and I really liked that the best friend wasn't like upset, and that she was like all for her best friend sleeping with her dad, which I thought was hilarious. The next one that I'm going to talk about is called Revved to the Max by Melanie Moreland. This one I picked up specifically because Jen from the Book Refuge said that it had Evan Bailey vibes, like Evan Bailey from the Bailey Brothers by Claire Kingsley, and I absolutely had to pick it up, and she was so right. It is so good. It is a grumpy sunshine romance. So the hero's name is Max, and he is a mechanic. He runs this mechanic shop, and he places this ad online that says he needs a helper at his shop to do like administrative tasks, but also things like getting the groceries and cleaning up and stuff like that. And so the heroine, Charlie, applies for the job, and Max believes that Charlie is a man. So Charlie ends up arriving in a small town like a day earlier than she's supposed to, and she goes to this bar and she meets this guy, and they end up having a one-night stand. But the next day when she goes to meet her boss, the guy that she had the one-night stand with is her boss, and he is very surprised that she is the person who's coming to work for him, and also that she is a she. And so Charlie is freaking out because she really, really needs this job, and she's like, no, I need you. You're gonna give me a trial. You're gonna let me do this job. And so they get back to his mechanic shop, and she ends up doing the job, and she does a really good job. But Max is frustrated because he's now super attracted to his assistant. And it is great. She is trying to be really upbeat. She has a lot of shit that she's dealing with. She has had a really difficult life, but she is trying to stay upbeat, whereas Max is like the grumpiest of grumpy assholes, and she really breaks through and makes him fall in love with her, and it's really cute. And Jen was so right. It gave me full Evan Bailey vibes. So if you really like Unraveling Him by Claire Kingsley, I think you will like this book. Then the last one that I read recently from Kindle Unlimited is By a Thread by Lucy Score. This was my first Lucy Score book, and I loved it. So this one was hard for me at first because the hero's name is Dominic and my brother's name is Dominic, and I was like not really sure about that. But we don't call my brother Dominic, so I had a little bit of a less time. Plus they call him Dom a lot in this book, and we never call my brother that. So I was able to like have a distance and it was okay. This book is really long, first of all. I mean, it like took me a really long time to read it. I don't know how many pages it is. It's almost 600 pages. It's like really long. But it was so good. I gave it 5 stars. I really loved it. The hero's name is Dominic, and he is very wealthy, and he is from this family of very wealthy people. His mother is like she started as a model, and she's now the owner and editor of this super famous fashion magazine. And the fashion magazine has undergone some really difficult changes recently, and so his mother has told Dominic that he has now had to come to work for the fashion magazine and take over for his father's position because his father had to leave unexpectedly with like lawsuits and a whole such bunch of things, and they don't speak to the father anymore. So the book starts with Dominic and his mother at a pizza place for lunch when he refuses to get off his phone, and the heroine who works at this pizza place is like, please, there's a sign, like, please take your call outside. And he, rather than getting off his phone like a nice person, is like a big asshole about it, and he makes this huge scene, and they end up getting in this fight, and he ends up calling for the manager and gets the heroine, whose name is Allie, and he gets her fired. And she is mad, but the hero's mom is like, her son was like, you were a shit, and she ends up giving her card to Allie and saying, come to this fashion magazine that I own and we'll give you a job, you deserve it. Come on Monday. And so she gets there, she ends up getting a job, and she ends up getting placed as Dominic's assistant. And it is the most ridiculous workplace romance. He is such a grumpy asshole, and she has so much sass and refuses to take any of his bullshit. And the mom has said that Dominic can't fire her. And so she is just like having the time of her life being like, Dominic, you are an asshole, and I'm going to not take any shit from you. And she really changes Dominic to be like a better person, or to show his better person side, because he's not actually that much of an asshole. He's just taking out all of his frustrations in his workplace, which is a dick move. And so Allie has so much shit going on in her life. She's in serious like financial ruin, and she is living like literally every dollar is needed in her life. And so when Dominic finds this out, he is really like tries to help her, and she doesn't want to take his help, and it is so much, and it's so good, and I absolutely loved it. Their romance was so good. Like I said, Allie is such a like spitfire, and Dominic does not know how to handle it. And he doesn't know how to handle somebody not giving him what he wants. He's like been spoiled his whole life, and he just doesn't understand why somebody wouldn't want to be with him, and why he's has to actually like work for what he wants now. But it's so good, and I absolutely loved it, and I gave it 5 stars, and it's just amazing. It is very long, but it is so worth it. I really loved it. So that was a horrible description, but my camera battery is flashing and I have to finish this video, so I'm sorry for that. But that is going to be it for this video. That was all of the books that I wanted to mention that I read from Kindle Unlimited recently. So please let me know down in the comments below if you've gotten any gems from Kindle Unlimited recently. I'd love to hear about them. But that is going to be it. So please like this video if you liked it, and subscribe and stick around. But other than that, I hope you have a great day. Bye!